Okay. We are live here from Augusta with a flash flood warning that has now been issued for Augusta. This is going until 8 p.m. This is radar and gauge indicated. So what a flash flood warning is just issued by the National Weather Service. They've seen this storm that you saw earlier during your 6 o'clock that they issued a flood advisory, but they went ahead and issued a flash flood warning, mainly because of the urbanized area that the storm has been in, a lot of runoff. So we could see some covered roadways, but just flash flooding of small creeks and stream, urban areas, highways, streets, and underpasses, as well as other poor drainage and low-lying areas. And so what we've seen is just this storm has just sat for 2.5 hours, just over the same areas, not moving very much. And so we've been seeing a lot of rainfall begin to fall over the area. And we can actually go back, here's the past 3 hours, and we can take a look at just how much rain has fallen over the Augusta area. And you can look in northern Richmond County here, two inches there. I'll zoom in. But yeah, so this flash flood warning is for Columbia County near Evans and Aiken County near North Augusta, right in smack dab downtown Augusta, northern Richmond County. So what do we do when we hear of a flash flood warning? What we don't want to do is drive through roadways where we can't see the bottom of. And what this is just for if you have any small creeks that like to fill up pretty fast. And if you have any low-lying or poor drainage areas, those are the areas that we're concerned with because we've received a lot of rainfall in a short amount of time. So I'll zoom in here. Really around the National Hills area where we've seen the most rainfall occur. Yeah, 2 inches there. And this is not even over the past 3 hours. But yeah, I'll zoom out here and I can show you. Yeah, raining crazy now. It's calm now, but we had the thunder shook Clearwater, raining crazy now. Yeah, that's and that's what we've seen, and what we're continuing to see now is all of this rain continuing to fall, and might cause some of these small creeks, to pour a little bit into your backyard. Now we're not looking at anything crazy here, but we are looking at some dangerous driving conditions for sure. If you're driving along I-20, you could see some heavy ponding there. You don't want any hydroplaning. That's for sure. And you can also look over the canals. What we've been seeing is a lot of that rain has been falling over the last couple of hours. And I'll actually switch over to radar here so you can take a look back at just what we've been seeing. And so this is over the last 2 hours. We did have a severe thunderstorm warning here that was just outside of Hancock County, but that storm has just died down. It was just going south of Greensboro there. They had it tagged with 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and up to quarter-size hail, but that storm has since weakened as well. Yes, turn around, don't drown. Those are the best words of advice. Do not drive through roadways where you cannot see the bottom of at all. But yes, we'll flip over back to Augusta where we have that flash flood warning here. You can see the outward green box, that green box you see on the outside, that is the flood advisory, and that is just letting you, that's a heads up. Hey, you've had a lot of rain over the past couple of hours. Hey, if you live in a poor drainage, low-lying areas, you could see water levels getting higher. Now, within that green box, we also have a flash flood warning, and that is smaller. That's that smaller green box here you see here. That is south of Evans. That is mainly for the National Hills area in Augusta. That it does include North Augusta. It does include I-20 It's mainly for northern Richmond County, and that's just where we've been seeing. Here, I'll stop that radar now. And that's just where we've been seeing most of this rain fall. And you can see going back, all the reds, the oranges, the yellows, even back around 5:30. So even it's over an hour now. We've seen rain rates of 1.5 inches to 2 inches an hour just continue to fall over the same areas. Oh yeah, we did need a break for the heat. We did need a break from the heat, but not like this. Not this much rain at one time, for sure. We don't need any flash flood warnings, for sure. Now, we did have a lot of lightning with this storm earlier. Not seeing as much lightning with this storm as we saw earlier, which is a good sign, which means that it is weakening. Yes, tomorrow is going to be hot, and we'll walk through the full forecast here once the storm does die down. But really wanted to go over the flash flood warning that is in effect for Augusta, including North Augusta and southern Columbia County and Martinez and the areas around it. Want to give people a heads up. Hey, if you're out driving right now, take extra care, be careful, and leave extra room for sure. And if you're driving, you don't want to, when you see you don't want to have your flashers on. Do not put your hazard lights on. One, that's hard to tell, like the distance from one car in front of you to another. It creates a bunch of confusion. And if you're changing lanes, how can anyone tell if you're changing lane if you have your flashers on? Don't turn your flashers on if you are in a heavy rain. If you need to, just pull over and you can have your flashers on there and wait for the heavy rain to pass. But do not try and drive with your flashers on in heavy rain. That creates a dangerous situation. Also, do not, when driving through, if there's ponding on the roadways, we do not want you to hit the brakes hard. You will end up hydroplaning, so don't want you to do that. Yes, Scotty, it's one of them right down the river afternoon storms for sure. And we can take a look again at just how much rain has fallen. This is so this is going to give you the past 3 hours. I just got a new update here, so I'll actually zoom in on this area so you can see that this is the National Hills area. Pretty much right where. Pretty much right over Augusta National, where you see that max right there. Well, let's see. Yeah, 2.2 inches is what we're seeing there. And then that's really just fallen in the last hour. So that's a lot of rain coming down in a very, very short amount of time, as the storm has just really built up and then just kind of sat there and hasn't really moved very much. But we have seen the lightning come down a bit out of this storm, which is a good sign. It means it looks like it's weakening, and that we're starting to see hopefully see the rain rates begin to come down. See if we can get some cameras pulled up for you. Yeah, let's get some cameras pulled up for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look from right outside of our studios here, and you'll be able to see this dark cloud of just dark, just wall of rain, which you'll be able to see here in just a sec. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, so that's just like a wall of rain that you're able to see there. So we've seen that come through. Now it looks like it's kind of tapered off a little bit here, but you can definitely see how slick those roads are. I'll actually turn this camera around. So that you can see I-20. So let's take a look at I-20. Ooh, there you go. See how dark those clouds look? Those are some slick roadways. Very slick. Very slick. So be careful out there if you are on the roads right now. Yeah, nothing but wind in Grovetown. Yeah. All right, let's take another glance at radar. Yeah, if you're just joining us, we are live on Facebook and YouTube. I'm meteorologist Malik Bryant, and wanted to give you an update here on this flash flood warning that has been issued by the National Weather Service for downtown Augusta, including North Augusta and the Martinez area, for this storm that has persisted over the last hour and a half to 2 hours. And that has just been dumping 2-inch an hour rain rates over northern Richmond and southern Columbia counties, including southern Aiken County as well. And you've seen it continue to persist here now. And now up here in areas towards Washington Road, we've seen it move away, but still within that flash flood warning towards other areas of Augusta, including Martinez and yeah. So you've seen it move from basically the main axis of rain, go from basically far northern Richmond County along the river to in between the 520 and Washington Roads exits on I-20. Yeah, but let's take another look at the amount of rainfall that we've seen over the past few hours. And if you have any questions, concerns, or anything like that, you can drop those in Facebook, and I'll take a glance and try to answer them as fast as I can. Yeah, pretty much the same thing we saw earlier. Well, we're now seeing that go from here to here. Sorry, you can't see the mouse, but you've seen it go from the National Hills area and around Washington Road, moving towards 520, south and west. So, let's see. Yeah, still 2.2. Yeah, 2.2. Now, if you are, I'll tell you which areas are not in the flash flood warning. So this flash flood warning only includes northern Richmond County. So if you're in Hephzibah, for example, you haven't seen very much at all. This is basically, it's very confined. It's one of those showers that's hitting a very populated area, but not very large in size. So if, we know the warning says Richmond, Columbia, Aiken, and Edgefield, but it doesn't include those entire counties. So down in Hephzibah, you're fine. Grovetown, you're not seeing much of anything right now. Maybe some thunder and some wind, maybe some outflow from this rain-cooled air outflow from this thunderstorms going around right now, and we can still hear some thunder going on here outside of News 12. But this flash flood warning just includes mainly Augusta, North Augusta, and Martinez. Again, a flash flood warning is just from the National Weather Service to say, hey, a lot of rain has fallen in a short period of time. If you live near small creeks that like to flood frequently and quickly, we want you to just, not necessarily evacuate, but to just be aware that, hey, a lot of rain has fallen in a short period of time and that those small creeks could overflow. And that if you're driving and there's water on the road, take extra care and do not drive over flooded roadways. If you cannot see the road, then there's too much water on the road as well, because you cannot see beneath it. Yeah, just thunder in Hephzibah. Now, honey, is that Washington, Georgia, or Washington County? Is Washington going to get any rain? Now, again, this storm is not severe in the way that it doesn't have any 6-mile-an-hour winds. It doesn't have any large hail with it, but it is severe in the fact that it has sat in the same spot for the last 2 hours and has produced torrential rainfall and has not moved very quickly. So, seeing a lot of water fall on roadways and things like that. Oh, Washington, Georgia. I got you. So Wilkes County, you're going to see any rain. All right, Wilkes County, you got a tiny isolated shower about to enter northern Wilkes County. Looks like it's falling apart here. Moving towards the area, looks like it's going to miss you to the north. I wouldn't rule out a tiny shower. We are getting late in the evening where it's going to get harder and harder for these storms to support themselves. Now, it's not going to be impossible. It's just going to be harder for these storms to support themselves as we go into the evening. So you might stay dry for the rest of the evening. Will Aiken get rain? And this is one of those circumstances where Aiken County is in a flood advisory and flash flood warning, but the only part of Aiken County that really is like Belvedere, you're in that flood advisory, and if you live in southern Belvedere, towards North Augusta, you're in that flash flood warning. But the rest of Aiken County is not a part of that at all. Will Aiken get rain? It depends on what part of Aiken you're on right now, because you've seen some rain earlier if you're like in eastern Aiken, but if you live in western Aiken, you may not have seen very much at all. But an isolated shower through the evening, depending on how the storm over Augusta holds together, if any outflow comes out. Yeah, Augusta right now is in that flash flood warning that you see here. We've seen the storm start to move a little bit back into the west here, which is good because we don't need any more rain to fall. It's been a nice break from the heat, but it's been too much of a break from the heat, and so really need it to go ahead and get out of here, because it's really because of the amount of asphalt and concrete around the Augusta area. It's a lot easier to get ponding on the roadways and for small creeks, low-lying areas, and poor draining areas to begin to see standing water on them. So let's go to our sweeping radar here. I'm gonna turn off we're just gonna use the Columbia radar here. So what I basically just did is, instead of using all the radars in the area collectively to look at the storm, I'm taking one look at it so we can really get a better detailed look at what it's doing, what it's moving, where it's moving. And definitely looks like you can see just the amount of moisture that is in it has gone down over the last hour, which is a good thing. And it's starting to move. The heaviest rain is moving out of where a lot of the rain has fallen earlier, but it is still raining. You can also see, I mean, it's very wet outside. It is it is extremely wet. So yeah, be careful out there on the roadways as well. Take a look here from, see if it's working today. Just looking at hail size, see if there's any hail. Yeah, it doesn't look like it. Let's see if our Harlem radar is working. Yes, our Harlem radar is working. So this is our radar that we have out in Harlem. And just using that, it's a lot closer, allows us to really see the storm in detail. And it is working today, and you can see where a lot of that heavier rainfall is. Yeah, and you can start to see where those reds and oranges were versus where those reds and oranges are now. And we're seeing a lot less reds and oranges. But you can also see, let's go back towards, this is 5:30. There was nothing. There's nothing there. But an hour later, 6:30, torrential downpour. So that's just how summer in the CSRA works. And anytime in the afternoon, you can get a thunderstorm, but we like them to move and not just sit over an area. This one looks like it's starting to die out. But starting to die out. So if you're wondering what the next couple of days are going to look like, here's your headlines for at least tomorrow as well. Tomorrow is going to be hot. We're going to see those rain chances increase, but I do have good news. We are going to see a cool down come mid to late week. If you are interested in the tropics right now, there is a area of interest that has a 10% chance over the next 48 hours and over the next 7 days. We'll be watching that as it continues its journey across the Atlantic Ocean. We've been watching radar here for the last 25-30 minutes. We've seen the storm start to calm down a little bit, but really wanted to notify everyone about that flash flood warning. And going into tomorrow, we do have a 1 out of 5 risk. And today we were in a general storms risk. So, I mean, any day in the summertime, you can really get plucked, depending on where you are for a torrential downpour. Now, tomorrow we're going to be looking for the possibility of just mainly gusty winds with any storms that pop up, and then going into Tuesday as well. The SPC has that outlined in the Southern CSRA. Now, don't forget, tomorrow when you go to work, if you're working outside, there's a heat advisory. That's because we're going to see those temperatures get into upper 90s again. 99 is the high that we have for most of us. And we could see heat index values as high as 112 degrees. Could see higher. That is hot. Hot. Now, we're used to the heat in the CSRA, but this is a slap in the face when you walk out the door. Tomorrow, like I said before, we're going to see everyone in our highs in the upper 90s, and those heat index. This is one model. This model likes to run a little hot, but it does have 116 as the heat index at 5 p.m. Now, if you do get rain on you tomorrow, you're lucky. That'll help you cool off a little bit, but not everyone will get rain. A lot of us could see a rain shower, but not everyone will get rain. Now, if you're looking for a pattern change, that's going to be coming Tuesday and into Wednesday, because we're going to start seeing this backdoor cold front come in out of the northeast. And so that's going to provide us ample lifting and a moisture mechanism for our afternoon showers. Going into Tuesday, we'll see our rain chances increase, and then going into Wednesday, we'll see that as well. And we may even see this front try and stall south of the area. So as we get into midweek, we're going to be watching that for potential rain chances, and that's also going to cool our temperatures off, which you can see that in the 7-day, where our temperatures begin to cool off. And I mean, if you want to call that a cool off, I mean, our average is 94 for this time of year, and we're going to get down into the lower 90s before we get back into the upper 90s by the weekend. But we'll give you one last check at the radar before we log off here. Just wanted to hop on and make sure that you're weather aware and everyone knew about the flash flood warning that's going on in Augusta right now, and the rainfall that we've been seeing. So I've got all the radars in the area turned back on here, and you can see the storm is really starting to die out. But that doesn't mean the threat is over. You still got all the water and the rain that still has to run off into these creeks and streams, and especially if you live like in a low-lying or poor drainage area, you can really see that water rise pretty quickly. So just wanted you to be weather aware when you're driving. Take extra caution and make sure you're keeping extra distance. Don't use your flashers while driving in the rain. If you need to pull over and wait for it to pass. But again, we've been seeing 2.5 inches with this storm over the last hour and a half. So they went ahead and pulled the flash flood warning just because of the urbanized area that we're seeing in this inner circle here, and that's just a lot of runoff headed towards these streams. So be weather aware and take care of yourself, and we'll see you back here on News 1226 at 11.